Tell us briefly your vision for Tauranga City for the next 6 years.
Well, we've got a lot of challenges, and I've been working with transport for quite a lot of years, the last 3 years, and the expansion and the growth of the city, the adjustments to the city plan, the intensification we need to do, all those things are things I hope we have made real progress in the next 3 years, but really the next 6. It'll be a really telling time for how our city emerges through this period. So I want to see that completed. We have to develop a really good plan to know what we have to do with the roads. And then, of course, the funding issues that are associated with that. I also want to see the CBD finished its whole transformation and becoming a place that everyone's really proud of and goes to a lot more.
What 2 or 3 issues do you hope to take up in council?
Well, of course, I've already mentioned transportation, the need to provide more housing. The only way we can get housing more affordable is increase the supply, but also the intensification that's needed. But at the last election, I talked about communicating more with our residents through rates and water bills. We send out something like 30,000 of those bills by mail, and we tried once this term to put some information in there and ask for feedback, and it worked very well. We had over 5,000 responses. So I think we can connect a lot more with the community if we use that more often. Too often when we consult, it's just only a handful of people come in and make submissions, and we're not really hearing from the community at large on really key decisions. So when we go ahead with things, suddenly we find people aren't happy, and that just wastes money.
Tell us briefly your qualifications and experience in governance type roles.
Well, before getting involved in politics 20 years ago, I was involved in an international organisation where I was both a director of an organisation with 400 staff in a nation in the Philippines, and also in a governance role on a board overseeing the whole Asian region, really. I came home, got involved in politics. I was on the board of Bethlehem College back when it first integrated. And then I went on to council, then I went into Parliament, and then back into council in 2010. And then my second full term of council is this one from 16. So that's a lot of involvement in governance.
What are the key values that you live by and will bring to the council table?
Well, I've always said family's, the most important value, and I have 3 kids and 8 grandchildren. And that's what I really live by, is how I work with my family and how I respect them and how I support them. And I think across the community, family values are very important. In council, one of the values I hold dear is being honest, being upright, forthright about what mistakes are made, and not blaming council all the time. I am really tired of both councillors and candidates who seem to distance themselves from the reality. When you are elected, you are council, and you have to own its mistakes, and you don't go around trying to just dish council all the time. I think that's a negative way of operating, which doesn't really doesn't help the staff to feel confident in what they're doing. So it's a strong value I think I have.
Tell us what experience you have in reading and analysing complex and large reports and financial accounts.
It's a big job. Anyone who thinks it isn't a full-time job will be very surprised. You can easily have the whole weekend reading, preparing for your normal kind of council meetings or committee meetings on a Tuesday, 150, 200 page agendas. You do have to be able to analyse the financials. You don't get into the nitty-gritty of that because you have very good financial staff, but you do have to understand it and also get into every topic, every recommendation that the staff put up. You've got to think critically about it. You should come to the council meeting having already analysed it pretty well, so that you're not caught by surprise, you're not coming up with random amendments during the meeting. And I value that a lot. I spend a lot of time preparing for that meeting. The debating chamber is where we make decisions for the city, and I think we should do our best to make the best decisions we can.
What's your experience in debating complex issues?
Well, there are 11 members of council, the mayor plus 10 elected members from different wards or at large. And to get anything done, you have to have 6 votes. So the ability to to make rational arguments, to debate things, to try and persuade people to your point of view is critical. Without those 6 votes, you're not going to achieve anything. And we all go to council with a passion to achieve things, to get things done. In my past, I've been very proud of some projects that have got across the line because I could persuade some of my colleagues to see that they were valuable for the city. They weren't an expense, they were an investment in improving the city for everybody to enjoy.
How do you see the relationship between council and CEO and senior staff?
First of all, a lot of people say, it's just like a company, you should just have 6 board members, The council is nothing like a company, it's nothing like a board of directors, because our shareholders are our customers as well. And, that creates a real tension. You're not just driving a business to make more profit. You are trying to improve the service for everybody as well, and as well as keeping rates down. Your chief executive is the key person you work with, and you have to have a good relationship with them. At the moment, I believe we've employed a very good chief executive. I've been involved in the employment of 3 or 4 chief executives since 2001, and you need to respect that person. They need to trust you, you need to trust them. You'll differ on things, but sometimes the combative kind of relationship that develops is not profitable, not healthy. If the chief executive has confidence in the elected members to work properly with his senior staff, then you can actually have a lot more contact through the organisation. And I think that's beneficial.
Do you have anything you'd like to add?
I think you can feel my passion for the job, and I've only just started this 3 years to get on top of the real challenges we face with transportation. I thought we had it all solved in 2005 when I was in Parliament, and now we have to catch up again. So I hope I can have the people's support from my ward to carry on the job, chairing the Urban Form and Transport Development Committee, where I believe we can make real progress in this next 3 years.